Welcome, everybody. My name is Paulie. This is the Latino Slant. I hope everyone is doing well on this Dia de los Muertos Wednesday. We have a real special show with my guest Undoomed, who's going to come on in a minute. This first part, I want to celebrate life and death. I want to play some songs for you guys, and then we're going to get a little personal with a video that I took a few weeks ago, and it connects with our holiday. And I hope everyone is doing well today. So do me a favor, share this link. Let me say hello to the people that are here right now. They're the early comers. Let's say hello to Michael Gonzalez, James Esparza, Sander, Soul Assassin. What's up, Soul? Jordy. Hey, Jordy. I hope you're well. We have Read by Nature, Dawn of Mutilation. Ooh, I like that. I love that. Dawn of Mutilation. It is a very nice tune. It's a very old tune, and redone this year by a band from Los Angeles. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. I want to play a couple of more. I'm going to play one more song for you guys. One more song, and it is from a band from Argentina called Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. And I want to make sure, yes, we do have the right one. It is called Calaveras y Diablitos. It's been around for a few years, but it's got animation. I love it. It's Day of the Dead theme. So enjoy, and we will be back with Undoomed right after this. Hey everybody, it's Paulie. It is the Latino Slant live on a Wednesday. Dia de los Muertos. We played you a couple songs. I got Undoomed in the green room. Share the link. Let people know we're here. I want to keep this homage simple yet honest. Okay, so Day of the Dead is where we celebrate the passing of the loved ones who have passed in a remembrance. And whether it is someone close to us, family, friends, maybe even a past, celebrity that we really loved who passed away. You get a trinket, you get something, some memento of theirs, and you put it on an altar, an altar, and you say prayer and you celebrate them on this day. And as anyone that knows my channel, we know that my set is a living altar and we celebrate this every day. But what I did is added my grandmother's huge beautiful cross in the back. My grandmother just passed away less than a month ago, and it really rocked the family. Although she was 94, uh she has been an incredible force in our family since I've been born. And it was devastating, and it was all that and more. And today I get to remember her and her laughter. And even at when she was up until 88, 89, she was still dancing to Los Lobos. She was an incredible lady. She was one of those ladies where if she said, "Mijo, I'm going to pray for you," you felt it. It meant something. Her prayers meant something, and her laughter, and of course her tamales. Her tamales were legendary, so legendary that my friends who are Mexican wanted my grandmother's tamales. So I want to share this video. This is from a few weeks ago, and this is how Mexicans uh, celebrate a past loved one. This is my nana's funeral, and this is about 30 seconds. Uh, I, I've been saving this, and I think it's a beautiful way to just celebrate the Dia de los Muertos part of our episode. And you know yeah, let's just play this. This is recent. Let me make myself small here. Okay, where's the video? Sí, señor. Eso. Uh, there was about 7 songs that my dad and my uncle got this mariachi to go to the funeral and perform, and it was a it was a, it was a great time. And I connect this with my brother Undoomed because I had told him we watched. My dad got really depressed. Of course, that's natural, and he was just kind of just chilling at my nana's house after the fact, the last few, those days after. And I said, "Hey, I gotta watch these television shows, Stargate, because me and my buddy on Doom are gonna interview the executive producer." He's all, "Which ones? I've seen them all." Oh, you didn't hear it? Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't hear. We didn't hear it, but felt it. Oh, you didn't hear the music? No way. The music's beautiful. Let me see. Oh man, that's a bummer. Okay, let me see if I can. Let me. It's only 30 seconds. I want to reshare this. Oh, I let me. You know what? I think I know what to do. Oh man, yeah. Anyways, let me find this video for you guys. You know what? Let me bring it. Let me do that. But let me bring in our good friend of the channel, my brother. We've already in a short amount of time done some great streams together, including the Edward James Olmos interview. We're going to be doing a great one next week. Uh, yeah, we're going to be talking about pop culture and Hollywood and all that garbage. But a man who speaks it unfiltered, the great Undoomed.
Hola.
Hey, he's learning Spanish. What's up,
Yeah.
man?
What's up? ¿Qué pasa?
Aquí no más. Here, nothing really happening. When they say aquí no más, like just here kicking it. Aquí no más. Not to
Right.
be confused with Namor.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah.
But first of all, let me just say sorry for your loss there. I can see you're still very emotional about that, which is understandable.
Yeah, it gripped me in, just because I know what a I still want to call her, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna hear her voice,
I know the
you know.
feeling. I lost a brother a while back.
Yeah. Uh yeah, but I mean, and and you asked me, how do you celebrate Day of the Dead? Well, this is it. Without any
Right.
morbidity. It's fucking life. It's hilarious. It's brutal. It's beautiful. And something we should not be afraid of to watch, even watch because people, oh, how morbid to watch a video of a funeral. It's like, man, this is real, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for that. I want to play this. I don't know if you got to hear the audio.
No, I didn't hear it either. I don't think
Yeah,
anyone heard anything.
yeah. So I think I fixed it, guys. If you don't mind, I'd like to play it for everyone. All right.
Dejando mi alma herida y un corazón a
You hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's right by these beautiful foothills called Papago. Great little mountains right there. Real beautiful spot for a cemetery. If you're gonna have that's just a lovely, lovely spot for a cemetery.
Right.
There it is. You asked
Yeah,
me.
it's. I think it's nice that they have like happy music, like they're celebrating that person's life instead of the somber, depressing music they usually have.
Yeah, it's like depending on the song, it's always uplifting, and then it's a tinge of bittersweet.
Yeah, like
But yeah,
little
you're
melancholy, but I mean normal like Christian Western, like those kind of funerals. It's always like depressing and almost oppressive, uh,
yeah,
which is just adds to the depression of everyone, I think.
yeah, no. Well, you're so right, brother. And and it's during these times, and people are starting to come in saying hello in the chat. I really appreciate y'all. My buddy Undoomed is here. I told you, like, hey, like we watched those 3 episodes of Stargate, me and my dad,
Right.
and our blues went away for a little while, and we were just talking about the episodes and the actors, and because my dad's like a real like kind of like a geek file when it comes to actors and TV and movies.
Okay.
So he loves Stargate. I mean, he's seen every episode.
That's amazing. I mean, I wish I had a dad like that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that regard. We bond over stuff like that, and uh the UFC fights. It's like sports stuff. You
Hmm.
know. We'll text each other during the because being in the same room watching a sports event with him gets really intense.
He's one of those guys, huh?
Yeah, well, so am I. you know, but I think that's one of the healthy traits of being a man is like being in that masculinity of being loud and excited for the sport that you love with other dudes
Hmm.
with other men. It's like we're not, no one's kicking each other's butt. We're just excited,
Sure. Sure.
you know. But yeah, so really fast before we get to the chat, we're gonna do something special next week. So you
Right.
want to like tease that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to interview a executive producer and writer from Stargate who's produced like over 150 episodes and written 50 of them, I think. And
Wow.
that's just for Stargate. He also produced the entirety of Atlantis, I think, and wrote a bunch of Atlantis episodes as well as other stuff. But that's
Yeah.
basically, I'm a huge Stargate fan, so that's where my interest comes in. So we're going to do that, and we're I'm not sure yet if we're going to be live or not, or if we're going to record it and then just upload it.
Hmm.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, I think we should record it. I think
It is it is kind of it
a
does
little
take
free.
away a bit of the attention if you have to stop for super chats all the time
Right.
and all that stuff. So maybe we'll record it and then just upload it. I'm not sure.
It's
We'll
up to
talk
you,
about
man.
it. We'll
Yeah,
talk about it.
it's up to you. And speaking of super chats, if you want to bypass YouTube, PayPal, I want to change over to Cash App, but no one's biting. So here's the here's the PayPal. Um, and that's one way for you to help the channel out. Every single dollar counts. So thanks for that. And it's pinned in the channel box. So there's a couple of fun comments. Cheetah Love 210 says Undoom needs a Latina girlfriend to learn Spanish faster.
Well, I already have my girlfriend, so that's not happening.
Ah, man, it's funny because my gal is Portuguese Brazilian, but she speaks better Spanish than me. Portuguese,
Really?
French. Oh
How,
yeah.
how how close is Portuguese to Spanish? Can you understand that, or is it just way out?
No, it you can, and then sometimes you can't. Like
Okay.
like 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 take this for instance. This mustache is called in Spanish bigote.
Hmm.
Big, like bigote, bigote.
Hmm.
And then in Portuguese is bigode.
Okay, a little more lazy
It is. It
in the
is.
pronunciation. I mean,
No, you're absolutely right. So it sounds like weird, jacked up Spanish. I'm like,
right.
sometimes she'll talk, and I'm like, hey, that's not a language.
It's like I had a Polish girlfriend once, and
Uh-huh.
she said that She could understand Russian, kind of, but it sounded like someone was speaking Polish in baby language. It was like baby speak.
When Romy's back on, we'll have. I think we're gonna do next month a fun drive for our animal rescue shelter that we're close with. We'll have her do some. We'll have you come on for a segment. And you guys can mess around with Portuguese and Spanish,
Right.
But yes, Undoomed is officially learning Spanish, Espanol. Everyone,
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't do it sooner.
Dale, andale. We have some great people in the chat, some members. Just another red shirt. One of my original amigos here. Someone new here. Giggles and Bits. Hola, Giggles and Bits. It does sound awesome. That is going to be a lot of fun. Stump Brat is here. She's a member of the channel. Hola, Stump Brat. What's up, Keely Chow? Michael Gonzalez. The best thing to do. Latino Slant. My dad died October 30th, 1973. I used Day of the Dead to speak directly to my dad. His folded up U.S. veteran flag is in the living room. Wow. That's beautiful.
Right. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And that's another thing, I don this calavera skull all year long here. I have the here, let me make this big here. I have the La Catrina, and she's a little heavy, but ceramic.
Mm-hmm.
And she's with us. She's with us the whole time.
Sweet.
Beautiful. Yeah. And then I put up my grandmother's cross. Look at this.
That that looks metal, man. That's hardcore.
Dude, my grandmother, and it says here, all things are possible with God,
Right. But it looks like, really like it could be a prop for some hard rock band.
Dude, it's heavy.
Yeah. It's cool.
Well, because my dad, they asked us, you want to take a trinket home.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that, and Romy took one of her angels, ceramic angels. So yeah, it's Courtney de los Muertos helping me with how bad I'm dealing with death. Well, each day that you are live and communicating and hanging out with us, Courtney, we love that. Love you, lady. Love you, lady. Okay, so someone had said something. Oh, let me make this. Why am I? You should be big. You're the big dude. You're the big guest here. Look at me.
Nah.
Someone said something, and oddly enough, we're gonna lead with this. I'm looking for it. Who said this? Okay, well, listen. Day of the Dead is a pre-Columbian holiday that was originated in Oaxaca, Mexico, right? And then they somehow kept it going after the Spaniards came and Catholicism took over. All Saints Day, it hit underneath. Dia de los Muertos hit underneath the same day. That's why it still continues today and has even grown more in the last decades here in the States.
Right.
But about 10 years ago, everyone's favorite entertainment company, Disney, tried to trademark the holiday.
Oh, I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah. So
that was crazy.
So yeah. Well, I mean, are we now surprised at anything they do?
No, but I guess back then they were a little bit more low key. That was, before all the Marvel stuff, and
right.
Disney was more like a kids company to us. If this was like 10 years ago.
This is 2013. It's coming, and then this is a cartoon from Lalo Alcaraz, and he says it's coming to trademark your cultura. That means culture. Muerto mouse.
I get it.
Opens nationwide on Dia de los Muertos. This was his protest. He's actually very left, very political. But he hits the mark. Kind of like how some of those points were made in the Johnny Legs. He hits the mark sometimes. more than not, I don't agree with him, but stuff like this, I'm like, he hit
Oh
it on
yeah.
the,
I mean,
you know,
it's wrong to disagree with someone just because they're that person when they make a good point.
good point. But you had asked me, and of course we're on Day of the Dead, and I'm like, man, this just doesn't get old. Doesn't go to remember, we're dealing with a company that tried to trademark Day of the Dead because they had a movie that was not titled yet. And
Yeah.
that movie, yeah, yeah. And that movie would have become Coco. I don't know. Did you ever see Coco?
No, I don't think so.
So Coco is an animated musical. It's actually pretty good. I like Book of Life better, but the reaction in the Latino community like went up. Like you can't trade Day of the Dead. You can't trademark Day of the Dead. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, holy shit, it goes back to before the Spanish.
Yeah.
You gonna trademark that? Are you crazy?
So I just wanted to bring this up and just for people to remember, what kind of company we're dealing with. Race swapping is one thing, and all their identity politics and all this stuff. However your feelings on it, but you know, this was my first thing of them being just low.
Yeah. I mean, that must have backfired spectacularly. I was more of a normie back then. I wasn't into
Mhm.
YouTube or listened to any of that stuff back then. So I don't really remember the reactions, but the reactions must have been brutal from the Latino community.
Well, yeah, and everyone really rallied behind this, and Lalo got a lot of play off of this. And here's the funny thing: is Lalo, Disney being Disney, they hired Lalo to be a cultural consultant on
Okay.
the movie Coco. So,
So they bought
dance
them.
dance with the devil, right?
Yeah, bought them.
Yeah. Coco was a beautiful movie, came out around my time my grandma passed. There you go. Yeah, and Coco is a grandma. Now the actual lady that they did the kind of animated Coco, the abuela, the grandma. This is like a
Hmm.
grandma thing. She actually just recently passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. Darth Plato, I've heard the pre-Columbian origins of Day of the Dead is disputed. Never research it though. The further you go back, anything can be disputed. I mean, it is a holiday. It is a holiday, guys. This is interesting. It's a holiday, Darth, that was celebrated for a month, way
Right.
before, and it was in August. The Aztecs celebrated for a month.
Well, it
So
makes sense that they would celebrate it too because, they were kind of into death. They had sacrifices and all that stuff. So maybe that was part of their culture as well.
a little bit, right? A little bit, and you're absolutely right. So in I don't want to go dive too deeply into human sacrifices, but
No.
back then, it was a whole different. The world was different, and their world was absolutely different as far as what life and death is. And you know, the Aztecs just got too fatalistic with their sacrificing, and they pissed off too many tribes. And
Right.
we know the rest. But let's bring it up to date, Darth Plato. It's celebrated every year. It's originated in Oaxaca. There's colorful parades. People go to the cemeteries. I've taken a mariachi to the cemeteries with my other grandmother who died years ago. We played songs, we talked to relatives, and we just hang out. People celebrate it differently. You can make an altar at your house, all that good stuff. I have a living one. There you go.
I'd love to have one of those mariachi outfits. Those are cool.
You should. It almost seems like, especially with you did the unspooked
Right?
animated, like that could totally be a mariachi guy.
Yeah, they got all those little details. The pant legs go like they have these. I don't know what it is. Like it's some sort of it's some
Well,
sort of decoration on the side of the pants, and it just looks so
yeah.
intricate.
Well, it's a charro. it's a charo outfit. So it's from the vaquero cowboy culture. You
Hmm.
know, those are the charo outfits. You know, because the cowboy was all originated from Mexico.
Right. That's
Um,
why they look so cool.
yeah. So all right. I think they're beautiful. There you go.
Oh, have you ever watched a show called Babylon 5?
I have, and someone brought that up. There you go.
They have an episode called Day of the Dead. I was curious if you've seen it.
I have not. How was that episode?
I mean, it was fine. It wasn't their best episode. I was just more interested in your take on it if you'd seen it, since it's your culture. Um, but
Um,
yeah, but it's basically they have all the masks, and but they've sort of transposed it onto aliens and stuff. Like I don't know if you were supposed to think that the aliens took it from Earth culture or if they developed the same thing, but it doesn't matter if
yeah.
you haven't seen it.
Well, I'd like to know what maybe Miguel Gonzalez or someone in the chat from the Mexican culture if they've seen it. And oh, there you go. Pretty cool. Hey, they brought back Mr. Morden from the dead.
Right.
Okay. And Michael also says Coco got the seal of approval. They were born and they were born and lived in Aguascalientes until they got married off at 17. So how about his relatives? Nice, nice. I binged on Babylon 5 back then, but I've forgotten so much about it. I'm in the
Right.
same boat. I just haven't seen that one in years. And but right now it's Stargate because Undoom got me hooked.
That's a good show.
So let's what do we want to get into? Do we want to hit this Namor thing, or we want to go to the Johnny Legs?
Um,
I'll leave it
well,
up
I
to you.
mean, let's go to the Namor, as you say,
Yeah,
since that sort of ties in a little bit with Mayan culture and all that. Um,
let's do it. Let's do
I
it.
thought it was weird though because the guy is talking about like how it's normally pronounced Namor, right?
Uh-huh.
And the first time I read the article, I was immediately like Namor. And then they said no. English people usually say Namor, and it sounds completely weird to me because I felt like the normal way to say it would be Namor, right?
I mean, I'm like, I'm honestly so confused right now. I always thought it was like Namor, and then I've heard back in the day in Namor. But here it's kind of like a Spanish. They're trying to make it like it was a Spanish word, like Namor.
Right.
You
But
know.
it seems like that would be more normal for English as well because we usually put the emphasis on the second vowel, right?
There you go. There you go.
So Namor seems weird to me, but maybe that's just the way because it's an old comic book. Probably I'm not a big comic book guy for Marvel, so I don't
Mm,
really know about the character from the comic books.
yeah.
So it could just be that it was developed in the 50s or something, and that's just how people talk back then.
Well, from bounding into comics, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Producer claims Namor is the voice of the colonized. Okay, and there's a photo of Namor in Mexican headdress, or
That's really the sad thing about this movie. I saw that photo and I saw him in the trailer, and it's like, I want to see a movie about that guy.
mm,
It's like that's much cooler than those other Wakanda guys.
you just want to see maybe just a Namor by itself.
Yeah, like him being the main character, or like maybe they have like adventures in Mayaland or whatever their home country would be
Well,
called.
the thing is that, and what you're saying is that because you're coming at it as a normie on this one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And really, I am too. I mean, I've always known about Namor, and I know he's been that that cartoon character, excuse me, that comic book character has been around forever, but I was never a huge fan, you know.
Yeah, I've never heard of him before, so I'm a complete normie when it comes to comic books. I've
Oh,
never
really?
really read Marvel comics. So I only started paying attention to Marvel when the movies came out.
Well, let's get into this story. They were talking to Nate Moore, who's one of the producers of it. When he asked what he wanted he wanted Namor to be in the MCU, Moore replied, "We thought it was really interesting, both to bring a little bit of the attitude of Namor from publishing, who was always known as being incredibly arrogant, which is true, and sort of confident. No, he was confident. He was alpha, not sort of. There was no question, but also grounded in a real conflict." Undoom, when you hear something like that, also grounded in a real conflict coming from a producer of a Marvel film, what do you think? What are you thinking?
I don't know what that means. And when you're talking about comic book characters flying around in CGI, like what is a real conflict?
That's awesome. Oh, that totally reminds me of something my dad says. He's like, "What does it matter? It's sci-fi." We were talking about another show.
Right.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, and you're not wrong. More continued when I think when Ryan, the director Ryan Coogler, decided to really anchor the world of Talokan in Mayan culture and to have Namor be a little bit of the voice of the colonized, it gave him a reason for that arrogance and a reason for that attitude. Undoomed?
I don't know if they're trying to score points or again, it's hard to know what that means in this context. It sounds like it's just a soundbite, like, "Hey, look at us, we got something for the colonized." That's a word that everyone loves. If you're your typical SJW.
Darth played a real conflict, as in contemporary politics.
Okay.
Bonso. Real conflict means they're going to sneak the social justice sermon in one way or the other.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is Namor the bad guy or?
Okay. So comic book wise, and correct me if in the chat, because the chat always knows. Namor in the comics just hated surface dwellers. He wanted nothing to do with people on the surface. If you messed with his people, you guys are gonna have a problem with Namor. He's gonna come up. That's why he's called the Submariner. So it's like, Namor, Submariner, the scourge of the seven seas. So that's always been there. So he's an ally when it's in his people's best interest, like World War II. They had him fighting along Captain America, I believe. But most of the time, he's an arrogant prick.
Okay.
But people loved him.
Oh yeah, I mean, lovable asshole. That's always asshole.
Good. Gonzalez says Namor is the very first Marvel comic book superhero character from a predecessor company dating back to 1939, even before Captain America. There you go.
Wow. But that still doesn't explain if he's going to be the bad guy or not in this movie. Okay,
so all right. I'm gonna wait because I wanna give you. I have an answer for you.
Okay.
But let's read on a little bit more. Moore would also discuss the way Namor's name is pronounced in the film. In a recent clip from the film series, Huerta pronouncing Namor's name Namor rather than the typical pronunciation of Namor. Okay.
Yeah,
stop! Right there!
Can you hear this?
Who are you? And how did you get in here?
This better pause.
So I'm just want to jump to the front.
You're going to get struck if you play that whole thing.
Yeah.
People call me.
Okay, so here's the sentence, right, that they're talking about. Here we go.
My people call me Aku kung kan. But my enemies call me Namor.
There you go.
Right. And that seemed
So
completely logical to me to say it that way. That's the way I would say it. And Namor. Maybe not the rolling R, but for me it'd be Namor.
right,
But that seemed
Namor.
logical to me. I also love the fact that they're like talking about Cuckoo Clan and all that stuff. That's certainly something I've seen a lot about. I'm probably mostly from Ancient Aliens, but that's
Sure.
that's amazing. I believe Chichen Itza is a temple for
Mhm.
Cuckoo Clan. The what is it? The serpent, the feathered serpent or something, feathered snake.
You are correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's and in Kulkulkan, the feathered serpent is another name for the same god in Aztec lore, Quetzalcoatl.
Okay,
So it's a shared god. And
right,
so that's where they're pulling this from.
right.
Now there's been an uproar, as you can imagine, from comic book purists, from people pushing back. It's like, why did they change it? Why did they even change it to Mesoamerican? Why didn't they keep it? And here's how the Submariner, looked originally. Let me see, where is it? Well, that's just him as a baby. But he was more Asian looking. He had the pointed ears,
Hmm.
um, and he definitely buffer.
Right.
So, what do you got any thoughts on that?
Well, for me, it doesn't matter, obviously, since I haven't read the comic books of him. But I think that it's, like I said, that was the one thing I liked about the trailer: the way he looked and the way that his voice is cool. And all that stuff I liked. I've never been a huge fan of Pink Panther. I mean, Black Panther.
I love Pink Panther. That's
never,
hilarious.
never been a big fan of it. To me, it was always too weird that they had this high tech society
Hmm.
with force fields and spaceships, but their city looked like a shanty town, and they rule by kings who have to fight to the death to rule or to receive the crown. It's like, what are you, Klingons? It's
Right.
it,
Yeah.
it just seemed very weird. It took me out of it.
Hmm. Hmm. Namor further says, excuse me, Moore further says, Namor, I would say he's obviously given the name by someone in the film. So it's not even something that it is from him, which he says there in that line. He says, my
Hmm.
enemies call me Namor. But there is certainly a way that a Spanish speaker, even a Mayan speaker, would say Namor versus the way an English speaker or somebody who is a little bit more Western in slant might say Namor. And we thought that was interesting. Um, it's reality that people face and felt more genuine than having everybody to pronounce it correctly, to be quite honest, Moore says.
I think they're making a hen out of a feather with this.
Out of a feathered serpent?
Yeah. It's just a pronunciation of a name. Like, who cares? Uh, they're making too much out of it. What do you think?
um, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why this producer has to say anything, honestly. I would love for the film to come out and we judge. I think what
Yeah,
happens is that,
that's
go ahead.
true. No, that's true. I mean, they always talk it to death and throw in all sorts of politics into it until you just lose interest and don't watch it.
Well, and if we're basing this from our chat, right?
Hmm.
People are just like, no, you know,
No
you
more.
know,
He's not no more. He's no more.
yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said by just letting the work speak for itself.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
you know,
That's why
go
they
ahead.
talk. That's what I mean when they're talking it to death.
Yeah, especially when you have created something completely different from the source material.
Hmm.
let people discover it.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, if you're gonna do that, I would hope that you have like a artistic vision that is guiding you, not
Mhm,
that it's just about politics.
mhm,
I hope you didn't do this just to score points with SJWs. I would hope that you've done this because wouldn't it be really cool,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I've known that they were going this route for now over a year. I've been tracking the casting. I'm actually a fan of this gentleman's acting work.
Hmm.
Tenoch was in Forever Purge. He was in Narcos Mexico, and I think he's a better actor in Spanish, but that's just me. But I'm a big
Hmm.
fan of his. I think he's got presence. Um, why not just keep it all under wraps and then come out with a bang? Maybe that week of. I mean, we're still 2 weeks away, and I'm just already sick of all the marketing, all the interviews, representation, this Spanish colonizers, and all this stuff. It's just like I get it. I'm actually Mexican. I understand. I, I'm actually a I'm actually a biological product of the conquest.
Right.
you know, you don't need to explain. Maybe like to non-Latinos, but it's just weird. It's just too
Yeah, I
much.
mean
It's
the,
like
the the film should stand on its own legs. You shouldn't have to explain it. It's like when you have comedy, and if you have to explain the joke, it's dead, right? And the same kind of applies to movies.
no, you're absolutely right. Trying to make sure you get the best sound for me. Um, You're absolutely right. And awesome one who's a member of the channel. Thank you for being here, my brother. Modern trailers show almost everything, but nowadays it's not even just the trailer. Undoomed,
Right.
it's the interview after interviews. It's the social media posting. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, yeah. Has there been any like freakouts from actors or anything, or have they kept those guys in check?
Yes and no. Yes and no. So Victoria Alonso, got everyone going. You know who she is, right?
Not off the top
she's
of my head.
she's one of the head VPs right under Kevin Feige for
Oh,
all the Marvel films. She's been
right.
involved in everything, and she's Argentinian. She's Latina,
Hmm.
and she was on the red carpet for this event last week, and she was talking in Spanish to a reporter, and he él es Namor, sin amor, Namor. Like she was playing with the words, and everyone just went apeshit over that.
Okay.
It's like, yo, calm down. I think she was joking. I think she actually was even like drunk. But if she wasn't, then we'll see in the movie, you know.
Right. Right.
Um, and then there's been of course there's a lot of talk in English and in Spanish from the actors about representation of the Latino actors, Latino people in this movie.
Hmm.
So um
It just seems to me like it might be a missed opportunity because, like I said,
mhm.
I really like Mayan stuff. It would have been cool to have a full movie about that. Maybe they'll do that, but um, that would have been much more interesting to me.
26 people live in the chat. We're so happy you're here. We're here with my buddy Undoomed. Please let people know we're here. We've already retweeted it out on Twitter. We're talking about, all there's so many layers to this
Right.
Undoomed. And I've done video after video for almost 2 years now on every update on Namor, because yes, the Noche Huerta is a big, this is a big deal in certain circles as
Hmm.
far as hey, they're making it Latino. Okay, cool. Well, show me what you got.
Right.
Now, the most interesting thing I saw was the director Ryan Coogler talking about why he did this iteration, and he was very, very eloquent, kind of a nerd, saying, "Look, I'm from California. He's African American. He's like, I'm from California.
Hmm.
My state's Spanish name, my street Spanish name. I have Latinos that are in my family. It makes sense. And I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue that. Let's see what you got.
Right.
So that to me was the most interesting take because I see Coogler as an excellent filmmaker. Um, and I see so many problems with this film. Not even Namor, but just the whole T'Challa and them redoing Black Panther to be the female sister. There's just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work Coogler has done, and we're gonna see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so again, I was slightly impressed with that with those sound bites. I got to tell you now, though, when it comes to sound bites of representation, I'm so my brain shuts off on Doomed.
Yeah. It just seems like they're trying to set people up for the you're racist if you don't like it, and then all the actors are gonna start tweeting stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have a shit show.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. The great Clobbering Times, who has advised me on comic book character after comic book character since I started my channel. He's here. He's got his ranch, and he's got a great channel himself. Throw your link in the chat, brother. I'm happy to see you here, and I know Clobbering hates what he sees. As far as this iteration. Now,
Right.
this is something Victoria said. She said that the term X-Men was outdated and it was problematic. Yeah, you're right, Clobbering. She did say that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's it going to be then? X
Right.
person,
X them,
X them.
not Latinx. Juan Carlos Gonzalez Jr. says, I've met a large amount of Spanish Latin women just like Victoria Alonso. Incredibly condescending and patronizing. Ooh. Juan said it. I didn't.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it up
not
there.
touching that one.
I'm just gonna leave it up there for a second. Let me ask you this, man. Have you watched any of these Marvel films over the last few years?
Oh yeah, I mean the big ones for sure. Not so much the new ones that have come out like recently, like what do they call it, like whatever phase they're on with the Eternals and stuff. I haven't seen the Eternals. That one seemed to get so much criticism and looked so boring that I never watched it.
Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't. It's so boring, bro. It's so boring. It's so boring that I watched it finally in June when I had COVID and I was here watching everything.
Right.
But
it was that bad.
it was so bad. I didn't care about a single thing. What movie did you like?
I liked most of the Avengers movies. They're pretty good. Probably what's the Infinity War? I mean, obviously that one was great. I think Ant-Man's kind of cool, kind of funny.
Yeah, I think the first one was good.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Had a lot of character. When it had a clear comedic vision, great editing, great directing, Edgar Wright. Mm-hmm.
and I think Black Widow would have been great if it came out before she died. Because that just, I don't know. Whenever a character dies, I just lose interest. I still saw it, but it had terrible special effects. It looked like Babylon 5 from
without
1989.
a budget. Right.
I don't know what happened to it. It was absolute terrible special effects. But it did have some funny moments. I don't know. What else is there? Remind me.
I think for me, I think the apex was the Captain America's Winter Soldier and Civil War and the Avengers Infinity War. That was
Sure,
apex. That was apex, man. That was just
sure. And Iron
fantastic.
Man. Iron Man was good.
First Iron, yeah, absolutely. First Iron Man, yeah, yeah. But yeah, with Black Widow, me and the lady were watching it, and she really dug the first part, and then it just got really predictable, kind of
Mm.
standard. So we actually turned it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you could see that it had the seeds for a good movie in there, but it should have been released much earlier. And um, I don't know. It's just they should have worked on the special effects.
Well, the thing is too, it's Scarlett Joe, so I'm gonna give any Scarlett Joe movie, a few minutes of my time.
Sure,
She's
she's
such a cutie.
such a
Yeah.
pretty lady.
Oh yeah. She's fine, man.
Oh yeah,
And but yeah, but you compare them to the ones that we talked about. Let's say they just don't compare. And
yeah,
you know, so there's a lot there. I think there's a lot riding with this phase four coming to a close with Wakanda Forever. So we'll see. Yes, guys, head on over to Undoomed's channel. Thank you, Clobberin, for showing for putting that in there. Thank you so much.
yeah. I don't know.
Absurde comes in.
What's the buzz like around Black Panther? Is people like excited, or I haven't really paid attention to any of those hashtags. I don't.
Right, right. Well, okay. So in this community, like the fandom and around the Midnight's Edge and all those channels,
Mhm.
the buzz is thumbs down.
Okay.
Right. Now on my channel, in my comments, and then the connected world of like kind of like the Namor Twitterverse, a lot of people are really excited about it.
Right.
And it's more on Namor and not on Black Panther.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because they're really now, if you guys notice, they're now pushing Namor a lot in the marketing
Right.
and very, very little Black Panther. And I actually think that's smart if they want to make some money in the and they're doing it in the Spanish commercials as well. So
Right. I
they're
mean,
not
I get,
stupid.
like I said, I gotta hand it to them. That outfit he has looks awesome.
Yeah, and I've seen a reaction of very like your reaction to even more that they love the costume to a
Hmm.
violent reaction that they hate it, that he looks awful.
Right. Right. I
It's
mean,
like,
that
all
could
right.
swing both ways, I guess. Probably someone is going to say it's cultural appropriation or something.
I think I think more just calling it a pandering,
Right.
which
That is
pandering to.
definitely a danger.
And you know what? But I want to bring up some Namor stuff, but let's we have a super chat. Absurde for $1.99. I'm still upset that John Leguizamo wasn't cast. Hey, not for lack of trying. But can you imagine Johnny Leg swimming? Come on, Johnny. Oh
Nope.
man, that's the thing with Johnny Legs. He thinks he can be in anything. Okay, we're gonna get to the our Johnny Leguizamo article, and that one's pretty prolific, man. He goes off, um,
Yeah.
but we'll get to that in a minute. And I don't know if you familiar with our uncle, with the Latino Slant's uncle?
Nope.
You're not. Well, let's have our uncle say hello to you. Here we go.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Oh, you did. Muchísimas gracias, Absurde, for the super chat. I'm also checking my PayPal. If anyone has, wants to donate a few bucks, it's in the chat description. And thank you guys for being here. Okay, let's bring up. Here's a new image
Right.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this one is very generic. It looks almost like a Roman soldier, but the thing I liked was the head thing with the serpent.
Oh, the headpiece. Okay,
Yeah.
let me see. Yeah, because we're here on Namor's was it Namor's news? So you like this headpiece here?
Yeah, exactly. That looked cool.
I think all these images, right? I think the two images here look great.
Right.
The one of his henchmen. Let me see. I know
the girl on the left there is still following the COVID mandates, I see.
Yeah, that's Namora. That's a little weird. They got to wear those pieces so they can breathe out of water.
Oh, okay.
That's how they're doing it. Clobber Times hates the look, but that's me. I'm an old-fashioned comic book geek. There you go.
Right. I mean, if you're used to something and they just change it, that would piss anyone off. But like I said, I haven't read this comic book with this guy, so this is all new to me. So I'm just going by what I'm seeing.
No, and I think it's cool that we're getting your. Oh my god! Looks like a Mayan gift shop carnival ride attendant.
that there's definitely a danger of it being like that. It could be like a hotel in Vegas, that kind of thing.
A Disney ride.
Yeah,
it's going to be a Disney ride.
But they have all those other hotels with the ancient Egypt, Luxor, and all that stuff.
Oh my god!
It's about time they got a Mayan one.
But we were talking also too about kind of who they're really promoting here, and this is the new poster. And what you barely see is Black Panther. The name Black Panther.
Right.
You see in strong silhouette, Namor coming. I actually like this. I actually like this poster.
Right. I've never been a fan of the Black Panther outfit. It just looks like, even when it's a real prop, it looks like it's CGI.
Right. Yeah. It looks like it looks like a Halloween costume in a sense. Gotcha. Yeah. That's funny. And if you remember in the chat, throw up your emojis. We have Mexican Iron Man emojis. We've got pistolas. We got whiteinos. We got slantinos. Fun, silly stuff if you're a member of the channel. So yeah, hit that up. Yeah, man, I see what you mean. You're funny. You're funny. Oh, and there's your look.
Right. It looked better in that article you had. That picture that they had there was like really cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, listen, with the whole, background swap, everything's changed. I don't mind it. I just want to see, again, at this point, and here's those things we're talking about.
All right. But why doesn't he have that?
Well, Namor is half human. So
okay.
he can, yeah, that's why he's not blue skinned as well.
All right.
Yeah. What was it? I did, like I said, I think at this point I just want to see the film. I just want to see the film.
Well, what do you think about Avatar? You seen the new trailer?
Bro, that looks boring as shit. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, nice CGI showreel, man.
Yeah.
That's basically it looks nice, very beautiful CGI, but doesn't really say anything what it's about, and it doesn't excite me in any way. But I'm sure we'll all go see it just out of a sense of obligation.
Yeah, and it's been so long. It's like, okay, and if it's around during Christmas, I'm sure I'll check it out. Maybe Romy, honey, do you want to go see the new Avatar when it comes out? Do you want to see the new Avatar when it comes out? She's giving me a really strange look. It's not on the top of her list.
Right.
She's not a huge fan. There you go.
Right.
All right. Thanks, babe. My vote counts. It does around here. Clobber Time says, my bodybuilder comic book expert friend, Carlos, not only hates the changes to the character, but he also said that the actor is too fat. His words, not mine, to play Namor.
Okay.
Are you familiar on how Namor looks in the comics?
No. You got a picture?
I'm gonna put a picture because that'll give us a good idea of what he's everyone's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say Tenoch has gotten in better shape than what he used to be. He's the type of actor that's not he's more of a serious actor, dramatic actor.
Right.
So for him to do this is like so different, but he's gotten in better shape for this. But is it a Namor shape? I would have to go with no, it's not. Because Namor was ripped. Look at that guy.
Okay. Yeah, it's more like we're into Schwarzenegger territory.
So I think it's listen, people are going to compare no matter what you say or do.
Right.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well, he certainly doesn't look like he's got any Mayan connection in these pictures, so that's got to be jarring for people.
That was another thing that the people are really pissed about, is that this is an Atlantean and half human, and now you got a Talocan, which is Atlantis, but Mesoamerican style,
mm-hmm.
half Mayan, and people are not happy.
Yeah, that's got to be jarring.
Yeah.
Totally get that.
Yeah. No, exactly. I totally get it. I see nacho more plus too many fish tacos. Fish tacos sound so good right now. We just ate. We had great chicken taquitos, awesome rice and beans, and salsa and avocados.
Nice.
So good. You guys are having a great time with this. Yeah. So his dad. Now we're talking about the Namor character.
Mm-hmm.
Was Scottish, Mackenzie in the comic book, and Mother Atlantean. So,
okay.
So, I mean, Undoomed, Marvel has just really gone down this road where they've literally have changed the background of every white superhero.
I just don't see the point of it. Why not just create an awesome Mayan character? Right? Why take an established character and screw with that thing that already exists? I don't know. That's weird.
I mean, you make sense. And I think I want to do a stream in the next couple of weeks with Clobber Times and 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, good buddies
mm-hmm.
of mine, who are like, they know their comics,
right?
And I want to make a list of superhero origin characters in the comic books that are Latino, that exist, that have existed for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? None of them have been shown on screen yet. They're like ignoring all of them. They're ignoring it. So weird. And they're redoing these new ones.
Yeah. They have a hard on for that. I don't know why.
Got a hard on for that. We're gonna get to that John Leguizamo. I think we're ready for it, but we do have another super chat on Doom.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for being here with me, man. I really appreciate you and your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Copper Indio for $10. Wow. And you remember the channel. $10 and you remember. Thank you. They have a real opportunity to tell an interesting story with what they changed with Namor. I just hope it's actually a good story. So that kind of answers your question there. There's a lot of people that are like, yeah, we know they changed this and that, but they're hoping with the changes that this could be really interesting.
Right. Yeah, like I said, for me, it doesn't make any difference because I never knew the character anyway, but the story is king. So let's hope they have a good story.
Oh God, how many times did we say that? And then how many times did we let down?
Oh, I don't know, 99 out of 100.
I mean, and thank you. Oh, you know what? Let's play this for Indio. Muchísimas gracias. Here you go. Mexican Iron Man thanks you. I thank you. Undoomed thanks you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Yeah, how's your Spanish coming along? Your Spanish lessons?
Pretty good. I mean, I've only been doing it for 2 weeks, but you certainly learned a lot more this way than you did in school. I mean, I remember taking lessons in school, and after 2 weeks, the only thing you'd say was hello, and maybe I'm Bob or something, right?
Okay, so in 2 weeks you've learned some basic vocabulary, and have you conjugated any verbs yet?
Some of them, I mean, very basic ones. Like
Okay.
I was for some weird reason, I was like, I came across, dude, where's my car? And it just popped into my head. Like, I wonder if I could form that sentence, and I could. I was like, hey, vato, ¿dónde
Hey,
es mi carro?
Hold on. Let me see what we got here. All right, go for it. Go for it, vato.
Vato,
This is Undoomed Spanish Lesson 101.
Vato, ¿dónde está mi carro?
Dude, that was epic.
I don't know if that's
muy bien.
I mean, it's weird because you have all these different words. I don't know if that's the right one. You got carro and you got coche and auto.
Well, if you were to say vato, right, you wouldn't say coche or carro. You would say, ranfla.
Okay.
That is a Chicano slang for car.
What was it?
RANFLA, ranfla. ¿Dónde está mi ranfla? Órale, vato. ¿Dónde está mi ranfla? And and that's great job, dude. Great job. And what's cool is, depending on the country, you're going to pick up a lot of the country's indigenous words within the Spanish.
Right.
And Mexican Spanish is very unique because Nahuatl, those words are prevalent in English. Give you an example. Coyote.
Right.
Coyote. Tomato.
Right.
Tomate. Tomato. Chocolate. Chocolate.
Right.
And those are mine. So everyone knows Nahuatl, because if you're saying those words at any time, you're speaking Nahuatl. So those have gone into Spanish. And it's a beautiful thing, just like how English is, it's not just like, the white man's language. It's like, dude, give it a break.
Yeah. No, but I really like Spanish because it's
Mhm.
so much more logical than French. I took French when I was a kid because we
Mm.
didn't have trans stuff back then, so that's the only thing I could do to be different.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Nice.
I was just trying to be edgy and fucking being a kid, you know. So I uh, took French, which was a huge waste of time, but I could never figure that language out. But Spanish is like, wow, that's really logical.
I mean, it's gonna be so handy, but I don't know what part of the country you're in. Let's just say you're a part of a country where
Oh, I'm on the West Coast.
Oh, well, then yeah, man, you're gonna be able to. There's nothing. I think it's so cool to be able to speak to someone in another language when you would never communicate with them before. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it also
Um,
it's interesting because it feels like my brain is like going, thank you for exercising me with something new.
that's right, because you're thinking differently. You have to think differently too. You can't
Yeah.
think in our English mind. That's great, dude. That's
Yeah.
great.
I,
Everyone's
I, I'll, I mean, I'll never sound like I'm Spanish. I'll always sound like an idiot, but that's not the point. The point is,
point.
I would like to be able to carry a basic conversation, and I'd like to watch Spanish TV shows or movies. That'd be cool.
Right.
And
And
I think
listen, it's gonna happen. Like you're gonna start watching movies in Spanish, and like, I know what he said. Oh yeah,
right.
yeah,
I mean
that's
that
great, dude.
already happens when I watch that what was it, Maya and the Three that you sent
Oh
me.
yeah.
There's all these little Spanish words they throw in, and like,
Hmm.
I know that one.
What did you think of that so far?
I thought it was, I thought it was good, but that particular thing I thought was weird because this takes place before the Spanish, but they throw in Spanish words all the time for some reason, which made no sense. But
Yeah, well, that's just because who's the audience, right? It's an English
yeah, I
audience.
guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But it felt weird. Um, but I guess so that could feel a bit like pandering. Just to throw Spanish words in there when there were no Spanish people there.
Well, y- yes and no. Here's the thing with Jorge Gutierrez is he's creating something completely new,
Hmm.
right? This is entertainment. This kind of like trilingual type of entertainment we've never experienced with English, Spanish, and Nahuatl, um,
Hmm.
or either even other indigenous words. So it's almost like, well, it's fantasy, so eh, he's making up a whole new world for us. To
Right.
me, that's a great example of creating something original, and
Right.
as opposed to maybe something like this, which is gonna have a lot of problems. But
No, but
but
I
yeah,
mean, it was just like the first time it happened. It was like, wait a minute, but then it doesn't matter. It's fine. I like the way the animations look. I mean, all those they've really like captured the Mayan aesthetic.
yeah, that's a great show. I highly recommend it, and it just got nominated for 5 Emmys, guys. It's called Maya and the Three. I've actually done some reviews on that as well. Colonizer Jeebus. Yes, you sent me $5, not 500, $5 on PayPal, and thank you so much. That is awesome. That PayPal dollars goes a long way. And since we're in a musical mood, let's with Day of the Dead and mariachis. This is for you.
Cuando canto la bamba yo estoy contento porque yo me acompaño, porque yo me acompaño con mi instrumento allá arriba y arriba, bamba, bamba.
Bamba, bamba. Okay, we got to get into this story. So we can talk about your Spanish, journey.
Yeah.
forever, but you know.
Not that interesting
No,
for
it was
other
good.
people.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to hear that you're picking up the el lenguaje.
Yeah.
Okay, this just came out, guys. John Leguizamo's open letter to Hollywood.
That is a terrible picture of him.
It's really, really. And then there's a fern or some kind of plant.
Now, what's up with that?
Yeah, I kind of just went right away to like get off of this. Now this is penned by John Leguizamo. That came out yesterday, and I thought it would be a great thing to talk to to read and discuss.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. You can be as talented as Marlon Brando or Ingrid Bergman, or you can write like William Shakespeare or Arthur Miller. You can have the screen presence of Ryan Gosling or Jennifer Lawrence, but if you look Latino or if you have a Latino last name, the odds are against you in Hollywood. And by Latino, I mean born in Latin America, not Spain, nor anywhere else in Europe. Those are white people. We Latinos are 19% of the population and the largest ethnic group in America, and we've been here long before the conquest of the 1500s. How are we not more visible on screen and on stage? If much of the United States was Mexico until the 1840s or later, how are we not more visible? Undoomed. What are you taking from these first couple paragraphs?
Get some new references like Marlon Brando and Ingrid Bergman. And he does this throughout the text. I've read it. He just uses stuff that is like 60, 70 years old. And like, yeah, we get it. We used to have a more racist country that nobody's disputing that. But can we talk about what's going on now? And it seems unfair to judge old actors that are long dead with today's standards. I believe Bill Maher had an episode on that just last week or 2 weeks ago when he talked about presentism, which is the term for judging historical characters by today's standards. So,
right, that's great. Yeah.
So that's
your first take so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're picking this apart, right? And I tweeted this out saying he brings up some good points and some not.
Right.
And here's my problem with his argument is how he's going into the argument. Because the actual argument is true.
Sure.
Right? But he's talking about, quote unquote, lack of better words, white actors and writers.
Right.
In these examples. And he has a career where he's played non-Latino roles. And he uses Marlon Brando later on when Brando played Mexican Emiliano Zapata. Well, it's like, well, Leguizamo, and we call him Johnny Legs here. Johnny, you've played an Italian. You played what is it, French, Belgium midget, and what is it called? Moulin Rouge.
Oh.
And you played Spawn. You played the bad guy in Spawn. You've had an illustrious career.
Right.
Groundbreaking. So and he gets into it later, which bothers me, is that he's not even counting white Latinos, and he goes after quote unquote white Latino actors.
This whole categorization of people into like, yeah, if you're Spanish, you're white, and you know it's kind of like when people start arguing over are Italians white or not, and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude.
And before we go on, I see a couple of new people here in the chat, members and friends. Aiken, professional victim. Becky Browan. Hey, Becky. We're here with the great Undoomed. Shanatsky is awesome. Love Shanatsky. All right. Let's read on. Mexicans in East LA would sign up to be extras in Westerns at the casting tree from the 1910s until the 1930s. They were put in background of a genre of films that was an appropriation of Mexican culture. The words were all Spanish. Cowboy comes from the Spanish word vaquero. Lassos, rodeos, broncos, corrals, ranches, and chaps. The hats are all part of the Mexican culture. Okay, that's not a bit, that's true. The 10-gallon hat comes from the Spanish phrase tan galan. No cowboy hats were being worn in England, Ireland, Germany, or the 13 colonies. Come on, man. Come on. There was definitely hats being worn
Yeah, they
inside
were
the
just a
US.
little smaller, like bowlers.
Right. They were just different. They were more frontier, all that stuff. But they were born in Mexico, and yet who were the leads in the westerns? So this all goes back to appropriating,
Yeah, but look where he's at. He's at 100 years ago.
correct.
So it's
Correct.
like, come on,
Right.
man.
Well, I actually think that's a good idea to show you. For me and for the reader, it shows the legacy.
Okay,
It,
sure.
right. And but also too, that was then, like you said, of course,
Right.
everything was appropriated, and everyone, most actors were, most were white, but there was always what do you call it? But then there was always people with different backgrounds. They just had to hide their names. This shit just happened. Okay. But he's
Yeah,
looking
I
at
mean,
it.
it was terrible. But we can't change the past. We can only change the future.
Yes, I totally agree. We need a better pipeline for Latinos in TV, in movies, TV shows, and plays. We need a system for our stories and our projects. We need executives to provide the green light.
Here's the thing. He's attacking a lot of actors, but it's like he should be attacking the executives.
Well, he hasn't done it yet. So because we've read the story in this article right now, he's setting it up, right? The white world 100 years ago. Oh my God.
Right.
Our numbers, but here's what Hollywood needs to do. My only thing is, so far, in this line is, we need a system for our stories and our projects. No, the system's already there. You just need the right people to greenlight your shit.
Yeah. I don't know what he means with system. It's what is that? Like he wants to have like a special film company for Latinos? I mean, he's free to set that up.
Okay, well, he's talking to Hollywood. This is a dear open letter to Hollywood with his, with this pinche picture there, looking all, whatever. I mean, this looks like he just got out of business class or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or like a snapshot from a 70s serial killer.
there you're going, dude. We need a better pipeline for Latino movies, TV shows, and plays. We need a system for our stories and projects. I think he's alluding to maybe Hollywood is systemically racist, right? We need executives to provide the green light. Let's go on.
Okay.
Because I want to come back to that. If you take a big white movie and make it a Latin movie, it's a hit. Take the new Top Gun, recast it with all Latin people. It's a hit. Take the new show Succession, make all the characters Latin. It's a hit. The remedies are there, but you have to be willing to put us on. As it stands right now, if your name is Garcia, Perez, or Hernandez, if you look Latino, you don't get the same shot.
I don't get this argument. Like, if you make Top Gun Latino, it'll be a hit? How do you know that?
Okay. His examples are horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Latinos love Tom Cruise.
Right.
And because we're such a big money, we buy the tickets to go to movies. Um, Tom is, the Top Gun was a huge hit this year. There was 2 Latinos in the cast, and a black person, and
Right.
women, and I mean, bad example, dude.
Yeah. And
Bad
he
example.
makes it sound like it's guaranteed to be a hit if you just swap out the people. Like, no. I mean, the magic is the people. If you swap them out, then maybe it'll be hit, maybe not. Who knows?
Well, again, it's these are bad examples because it's like, well, one, there's Latinos in the film that is the biggest hit of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, it's not a guarantee just because you make it all Latino. That's silly.
Yeah.
You know, Succession, I have not seen that show. I hear it's really excellent.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't seen it either.
but then he says, as it stands right now, if your name is Garcia Perez Hernandez, or if you look Latino, you won't get the same shot. Absolutely disagree. I disagree, Johnny Legs.
I think that used to be true, but we've certainly seen a lot of change there. I mean, just
Seen a
look at Star Wars, the 2 biggest shows, both led by Latinos,
mhm.
in both what's it called?
Well, you got the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal,
The Mandalorian, right, and the
mhm,
new one,
and the new one, Andor, with Diego Luna.
Andor. There we go.
Mhm.
That's also a Latino lead.
And you have Ahsoka coming out, Rosario Dawson.
Yep, there we
I
go.
mean, Oscar
There,
Isaacs, who was in the Star Wars movies.
exactly. He's
So no, it is greatly improved. We are
yes,
greatly, and you can see it in television, in films, in books. Is it comparable to our numbers? No. Does it have to be? No.
right.
Could there be better stories? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's, that's a problem I have.
I think
Mm.
the untapped potential of like, for instance, I keep coming back to the Mayans and stuff like that. That's
Mm.
something that we haven't seen. Do
Yeah.
that, right? You could have an entire movie with just Latinos, and it would be perfectly logical for that to be that way in a movie like that. Do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Well, I mean, again, so where are the hits? Mayans MC, Narcos Mexico, Mayan the Three. Those are
Hmm.
hits,
Right.
and like you said, it'd be great to see some of those other pre-Columbian, lore come on
Hmm.
screen. The stories are there. All right, let's
I mean,
continue.
they had almost like a Roman Empire, and we almost never see it. So do that.
Not in the way that it should be seen.
Right.
And I I'm gonna I'm gonna put a pin on that as well. I'm not talking about white or white passing Latinos. Here we go. I mean indigenous Latinos. I mean Aztec, Maya, Inca, or Taino. I mean Afro Latinos or any mix thereof. More often than not, the Latinos you see on screen are white passing, or white passing because Hollywood is drenched in colorism. No, Johnny Legs, you are obsessed with color, man.
Yeah. I mean, I always get tripped up on that word. What's the difference between colorism and racism?
Oh, God. You know what? My head's about to explode. Hollywood is drenched in colorism.
Yeah.
He's saying that they're in love with just showing a lighter version of Latinos at this point.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's what he means, but I don't think that's actually what that word means. I think it kind of means the opposite, because I remember seeing all these videos from MTV, like during the 2016 years, where what's her name? I don't remember. It was some well-known feminists were doing all these YouTube videos on it, and she explained that colorism was when people don't care about skin color, but she argued, and she's a black woman, that people should care about skin color because that's the
I
most
can't keep
important
up.
thing.
Yeah, I can't keep up. There's colorblind casting, which I can't stand. I like the term non-traditional casting.
Mhm.
That comes from theater. That makes a lot of sense. Especially with a non-traditional look at something where people have different backgrounds, but it's not. It's just they're actors.
Right.
That could be interesting. It has been interesting.
It's kind of like
But
when we talked to Edward James Olmos the other
mhm.
day, and we didn't actually bring this up, but I remember that he was actually asked to play Captain Cisco, or was it Picard, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
I think no,
Go on with
I
that
think it
story.
was Picard actually. He was asked to play Picard. Like that is some serious um, casting. You're just out for the talent. You don't care if the guy is English or if he's Latino or whatever. Just get the best guy, and he turned it down, so it went to Patrick
Right.
Stewart. But that's how you should cast. Just get the best guy you can.
Well, and that I think is non-traditional casting, where
Right.
you're kind of not seeing it. Um, but sometimes, depending on the story and the background, you got to go a certain look.
Oh, sure. If the story demands it.
Right.
Obviously, it
You
didn't
know,
matter for Star Trek what
yeah.
color the guy had.
Well, and your example of Battlestar Galactica is a
Hmm.
great example of, you know, they changed the gender and race swapping technically, right? But it was just part of that world. It worked,
Yeah.
you know.
I
Starbuck
mean,
to go
exactly.
ahead.
They swapped Starbuck and to a woman, and
Hmm.
that was a good choice because the character was still there, but it
Hmm.
wouldn't have been interesting with a guy that just fucks around and drinks and fights. It was interesting to have a woman have those characteristics.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you had a great actor that pulled it off.
Yeah.
Um, Michael says John L is right, but it's not the fault of Blanco Mexicans. It's the fault of hollowed execs. He is pissed because Los Blancos do not stand in solidarity and refuse roles. Haha, we're gonna get to that. That's great.
Right.
Um, okay, can you imagine an indigenous-looking Latino starring in a streetcar named Desire? Yeah, it's called theater. That's happened.
Right.
Happens every day, John. You talking about the movie? There's only one Brando. Okay, it's done.
Right.
Can you imagine an Afro-Latino as the lead in Risky Business? I think there's been iterations of that in the 90s,
When
you
was the
know,
original movie made?
in the 80s. Black comedy, there's so much black comedy
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, it's are they Afro-Latino? I don't know. We'd have to look it up. Even if that had happened, studio executives would have written off successes with something like, it was a one-off. This was a fluke, an aberration. For Latinos, lightning never strikes twice. Okay, see, this is where I think he's on to something. Now with his examples with studio execs and Latino successes. The most successful Latino movie, US Latino movie, is La Bamba. It came out in 1988.
Right.
Why has there not been one more successful since?
Right.
Well, that is a huge problem, I feel.
Right.
So so yeah, I think he's onto something because in the late 80s and then for about 10 years, there was a nice showing of US Latino films that had studio backing in major theater releases.
Probably it was probably set off by Zoot Suit.
Correct.
Right.
that John was a part of.
Yeah.
That John he was a part of and a beneficiary of,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Okay, let's go on. Even Latinos are still stigmatized by their names and their culture. Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada goes by Oscar Isaac. Bruno Mars ditched his Hernandez. And while actors can't be cast, our stories are still co-opt. All right, I want to wait. Okay, what's your take here? Because I got something to say about this.
I don't really know. I don't know if Oscar Isaac has talked about that, or does he think that's a problem, or I don't know.
Well, okay, so to me, Johnny going after working actors, like his tribe,
Mm-hmm.
his people, that's low. That's a no-no.
Yeah, that's true.
What's your problem? What's your problem, Johnny? You're not in their shoes. You don't know what they've had to go through. You don't know what nonsense they don't want to deal with.
Right.
Oscar Isaac didn't want to deal with being pigeonholed. Good on you. That's an actor's choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
you say Bruno Mars.
There's also the thing with SAG, like Screen Actors Guild, like his name might have been taken because you can't have the same name, right?
Well, I also want to just go to something in general, because he's saying that stigmatized by their names and culture. That's not exclusive to Latinos.
Right.
People from different backgrounds change their names. It's called having a stage name.
Mm-hmm.
People do it every day.
Yeah.
It's still being done by the whitest of people to the darkest of people.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Prince, it's not his full name. Bruno Mars was Hernandez. Changed it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's loads of actors who think their name is just boring, so they get a cooler one.
Absolutely. Share.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't, we name off our favorite actors. That's probably not the real names.
A lot of them, yeah.
So this argument, it's like it's almost like a very bipolar argument.
Yeah. He has some valid points, but he keeps presenting it in a very bitter way, a very negative way, and he's attacking people who are not responsible for it.
Okay, wait, we got a thing here. Okay, how many Jewish African actors changed their names? 2, yes. How many folks came here early Hollywood, East European, Hebrew names? Yes. Or distance themselves from a relative like Angelina Jolie. But there's 2 things here, Johnny Legs. You're going after your own people, not cool. You're going after the Latinos, not cool.
Yeah.
Did they screw you over? Did they do something wrong?
Well, he's not saying they did, so I mean, then it's just catty.
Let's continue. Mexican revolutionary Emiliano Zapata was played by Brando in the 60s with full brown face and widened nostrils. Fact check, it was 1953, I believe, and Mexican actor Anthony Quinn played his brother and won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in the 50s. A Mexican actor won an Academy Award. So, yeah, it's Marlon Brando. They need a name at that time.
Yeah, there's that, of course, but the example is even worse when you say that there was actually a Mexican guy who won an Oscar in that movie.
In that movie, playing his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had recently on an Afro-Latino actor, Paul Calderon. I think it was right after we did Eddie Almost.
Right.
Paul Calderon has been in, Pulp Fiction and Bosch, prolific. If you see his face, you're like, oh, I know that guy.
I know who he is.
Okay. In our interview, I asked him, who did it for you growing up? Who was a mentor?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I really didn't have one. But when I was this age, like as a boy, I saw Anthony Quinn in Viva Zapata with Marlon Brando. And it rocked me because I hear this guy speaking Spanish. And I'm like, oh my God, that movie you connected with? He's like, yeah, man. Because, he's like this, young black dude in a Afro, black, whatever, in New York. And he's connecting to this Mexican. I thought that was beautiful.
Right.
Then in the late 80s, he gets to do a movie with Anthony Quinn before Quinn passes away. Great story on Doomed. Great story. So, Johnny Legs, I'm poking two holes right there, man, at your example.
Yeah.
It's just, for everything that you're arguing, I can just turn it around for you.
Yeah.
And say, no, it's much, it's much more than that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just agreeing with you.
Okay. If you want to disagree too, man. Eli Wallach did brownface as a Mexican in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, as Tuco, a snarling and disgusting lowlife, to cater to how the studio executives thought a Mexican would act. In Touch of Evil, Orson Welles cast the whitest actor ever, Charlton Heston, as a Mexican, a light-haired, blue-eyed man playing a Latino in brownface with hair dyed black and a fake mustache. Again, real Latinos were merely set dressing extras in the Mexican border town.
Right. But now he's off back in the 50s or 60s or whatever again. We get it.
We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. And I could pick apart these examples. Touch of Evil, Orson Welles, that was an independent film. He cast whoever he wanted to cast. That actually was not a studio film.
Right.
But there is a thing with studio execs casting and how they perceive Latinos in this case, two Mexicans, that there is some truth there. We'll get to that. All right. It didn't stop there. You had Al Pacino in tan makeup, coked up and wild as a Cuban in Scarface. The studios loved it so much they put him in Carlitos Way as a Puerto Rican from Spanish Harlem. They surrounded him with Latino actors, but not one of us had a lead role. In our own stories, we're just playing supporting players. Johnny, you're being an asshole. I'm sorry, man, but that's fucked up what you just did. I'm really upset because you're talking about a legend of an actor, Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about a movie that you acted in. You were in. It was like one of your first roles in. You were Benny Blanco from the Bronx.
Oh, he was in there?
Yeah, he's in Carlitos Way. That's his.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that.
You didn't say that, or that John Ortiz was in the film. All these Latinos are in this film.
Right.
But you're so obsessed with the actors who weren't Latino, who had a bigger role than you.
Yeah. It's just time to face music, pal. Some people are just not meant for the leading roles.
That pisses me off.
Yeah.
That pisses me off, man. This is not cool. Not cool, brother.
And he keeps going.
Then there was Antonio Banderas in El Mariachi, Marissa Tomei in the Perez Family, Ben Affleck as CIA operative Tony Mendez in Argo, Turturro as Bowler Jesus in Lebowski, Bardem in Before Night Falls, and Being the Ricardos. Now, I see a thread line here. These are all movies that John's not in.
Right.
Or these are all movies that, hey, I was only a supporting character. This is coming off as real narcissistic, bud.
Yeah.
Real narcissistic. Let's say hello to some people. Let me calm down a little bit. Hey, Leah, how you doing? Lakia, I'd like to hear from the actors who haven't had the roles that he's had. Ooh. This guy had some great roles, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's very prolific.
Yeah. Hello, TF. Latinos are the most mixed DNA ethnicities in the world. We are mixed of indigenous, European, Middle Eastern, African, etc., etc. So in a way, we're all connected that way. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hadn't said hello to Doss Wolfen. What's up, Doss? ¿Cómo estás? Johnny needs to chill. We're here with the great Undoomed. Hope you're having a good time. 30 people live in the chat. Share, hit the link, all that good stuff. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Okay, where are we? Now, while we're talking about it, Spaniards are not Latinos. So now he's going to let us know.
Yeah.
Who's who, according to John Leguizamo.
Now we get with the progressive stack and all that stuff. Who's the most oppressed?
Spaniards are not Latinos. Spaniards are white Europeans. Incorrect. Latinos were born in Latin America, or our ancestors who were born there. For the most part, we are mixed race people from all across Latin America. Well, all of Latin America except Argentina, which is largely eradicated its indigenous people. So there, I've broken it all down for you. No, you haven't. You broke it down incorrectly. That's bullshit. And let me tell you, indigenous people were eradicating each other long before the fucking Cortez came on by. John?
Yeah, that's true. And I don't like these arbitrary lines. Just, well, this is a Latino, this is not. Like, you have a lot in common with someone who's speaking the same language. And I mean, it's not like they're Spanish people look that different. They're like mixed up with people from Africa. It's just, like a couple of miles away from Africa. So they've had close contact over there. So I don't know. It just makes me feel weird when they're doing all these sort of categorizations of races. And I thought when I grew up, I thought we would get past all that stuff, but no such luck. Thought we were heading towards the Star Trek society.
I think in reality, everyday reality, we have been. I think it's, the media and all this noise that makes it seem like we're so oppressed and, and hate each other.
Well, the media and social media certainly,
correct.
They're driven by hatred, so that's kind of their currency.
When Shakespeare was writing plays, men played with the women's parts. When women were finally allowed to act, the experience became so much more authentic for the actors and the audience. In a perfect world, everyone should be able to play any role. Wait, what? But Latinos rarely get cast, even in their own stories. You get cast all the time. You're in a big film coming out called The Menu. So what may seem like a singular instance of casting a white actor is actually part of a deeper chasm of opportunity across generations. The industry also doesn't have enough Latino executives. He's on point here. Or development heads, or directors or writers, yes. I've been pitching Latin stories, featuring Latin heroes and Latin success stories, and executives say, we love it, or we need more stories like this, or change the start changed with us. But guess what happens? They never get greenlit the project.
This is where the article should have started.
Correct. Correct.
This is like the executives are the people in charge. Therefore, they're the ones you have to blame if you want to blame them for something. It's pointless to bash all these actors and old movies from 100 years ago. The executives are the ones you have a beef with.
Or define the different levels of being Latino or indigenous, or I don't know what.
Yeah,
At the
he
end
should
of
have,
yeah.
kill your darlings. He should have cut that thing out of the article.
At the end of this paragraph, anyone watching this video, people in the chat, this paragraph is a paragraph of truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you an example, right? I recently overheard an executive. No one's Latino here, right? That I'm talking to. On a phone call, speaker, through the speaker, what I assumed, now I am assuming, is a white sounding person, someone, who, just my ear.
Right.
Talking about the Chicano experience.
Right.
And this is a very high level executive.
Okay.
And I'm like, isn't this some shit? Because that does not surprise me. They'll talk about certain things. And again, I only heard like when I walked in, but knowing what I know and this executive, I'm like, wow, this is how Hollywood operates. In as far as these non-Latino execs talking about something in an inauthentic fashion, Undoomed. And I'm like, God, should I say anything? Because I was doing another job that's not in no way related to the business.
Right.
It's like, I got to keep my mouth shut.
Right.
But that is a slice. That is how we are talked about. We are, viewed as, and it's not always. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking they have the same thing for Black people. They call it the urban market. Right. That's probably the equivalent, I guess. They'll do anything for $1. They're just trying to suck out every dollar they can.
Let's get back to this. Let's get back to this truth here. One carrier of truth. We're here with Undoomed. Thank you guys for being here, hanging out. Super chats, all that good stuff is greatly appreciated, and we, thank you guys for all that. Okay. Now, here's another thing. Up until here, Johnny Legs uses the term Latino and Latins. That changes.
For some reason.
For some strange reason.
Yeah.
I've pitched for 40 years and have spoken to other Latinx creators who know how impossible it is to get anything put into the development pipeline. That's true. And that's the secret sauce, having scripts in development until they are great, because storytelling is king. But I do have to hand it to
we just said that.
But I do have to hand it to the studio heads and entertainment executives. They're never without excuses, which range from the small-minded Latin movies don't perform well, to the ludicrous Latin people don't want to see Latin people in the movies, to flat out false. Latin people don't go to feel-good movies, and Latin people are happy to see white movies.
Right. I'm sure those words have been uttered by some executive at a movie studio.
I would say definitely the first one, but yeah. You know what? Let's just say it's true. Because in that world of Hollywood execs, I don't pass anything there. So let's just say.
But I also think that's in the past.
I think to a large degree.
Yeah.
To a large degree.
And I also don't understand why he just switched to Latinx all of a sudden from Latino.
Da-da-da-da. All of these excuses boil down to the simple fact that the big decision makers do not care. They will profit no matter what. So why change the system? The fact is that Latinx audiences do support Latinx content in 2021. Latinx ticket buyers made up 57% of the opening weekend sales for Encanto, which is what he was in. 40% of sales for In the Heights. We show up, and not just to the theater. Yeah, but In the Heights didn't make a lot of money, man. So it
This
goes to
this,
show you. What's that?
this would have been a great place for those assertions to have like a line under it that goes to a place where you can check his facts.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like have you ever heard of links? Citation needed.
Yeah, and that being said, even if every Latino came out and saw a movie, you still need the greater audience to see the movie as well. And you can't just make a movie just for the US Latino market. You know, it's great that it may be
Well, I
from
mean,
that,
I
but it's got to be
suppose you
for
could.
everyone.
I suppose you could. I mean, there's a whole market for just black movies. You know, I suppose you could, but if you want to have like a huge hit, you can't. Then you have to make it for everyone. But yeah, let's continue.
This is more on point. Problem is, Latinos are loyal customers of entertainment. They take us for granted. Yes, that is more on point. Why
Right.
did it take us for? Because Latinos like big entertainment, so they're not really hooked up on actual, um, cultural backgrounds. They just want big entertainment, which is like I said, they're big fans of Tom Cruise, Schwarzenegger. They will see themselves if it's done on an entertaining level, not just the pain of my people.
Right. I mean, there is. I don't know how you feel about this, but it seems to me that you can't just make a movie with a target audience in mind. You can't just say we're going to make a Latino movie for Latinos. You have to have a story first, and then it happens to coincide with that. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just a corporate product that someone's trying to shove down your throat.
Well, and that's what he's talking about. And he's complaining about a corporate system that doesn't care about your population numbers. If story is king, then just keep hammering away at that. Or if you got a story that's so king, you go and get the money yourself and you go film it. That's what it's done every day. That's why they go to film festivals and get it sold, because they've already made it.
Right.
Okay. I'm gonna go here. Okay, because let's get through. When you walk anywhere in Los Angeles, except those gated communities, you see Latinos everywhere. It's because the city is approaching 50% Latino. But where are we on screen? That's a cultural cultural apartheid. What?
Them's fighting words. Okay. Apartheid.
Oh my God. The Latino population is larger than the white population in California, and yet we're not represented accordingly. That is cultural apartheid. In New York, the Latino population is equal to the white population, but you would never know that if you watch local TV or read our newspapers and magazines. The metrics are on our side, but the system is not.
Right. I think black people have been much more successful in getting their representation on. I don't know why that is, but I mean everything has black people in it. It's just the standard now. You can't make anything without a bunch of black people in there. I'm not saying that's bad. That's just the way it is. And Latinos haven't really been able to push that for some reason.
The system is driven by executive ideas, tastes, and opinions. We are shut out. But when we're allowed to connect to our audience without a middleman, we win. That is why Latino musical artists are killing it. Everything boils down to listens. The numbers never lie, and the executives have no choice but to follow what's popular. That's why Bad Bunny is #1 star in the world. We have top 10 talent. Cardi B, Camila Cabello, Blavin, Becky G, Carol G, and Kali Uchis. We crush the baseball because of statistics. We soar in politics because of votes. Okay, music, sports, and politics, just completely different structures of entertainment. Well, it's not entertainment. Let's just say music. Music's a completely different structure of entertainment.
Right.
The poorest of poor can create, literally, I can create a hit song from hand me down computer instruments. It's a different animal.
Oh yeah. You don't need any recording studio or anything nowadays. You can just actually just do it on your laptop. So it is kind of democratic in that way. It's nice, and it's
very democratic.
It kind of proves the point that story is king. So if we were to transpose that onto films, it's like, yeah, of course, if you have a good movie with a good story, it will sell. Right? If you have a good song, it'll sell. And it's kind of the same with a movie, but of course, marketing comes into play with movies. You need some backing for for people to even know about it.
When I was first starting out, I couldn't get the lead because Hollywood would not cast me as the hero, the lawyer, the head of the department, or the male love interest.
Well, that's because you were first starting out.
Right. And from what I remember, your roles in the 90s were pretty prolific, man. You got to be in Romeo and Juliet. You got to be in Carlito's Way, Super Mario Brothers, Spawn. I mean,
he was funny in Spawn.
Yeah. If white people are 59% of the American population, why do they get 120% of the casting crew and executive teams? We are a mere 2.9% of leads in TV, movies, streaming, stage productions, according to the nonprofit Latino Donor Collaborative's Latino in Media report. This is not incorrect. That is correct as far as the percentages are just really gross.
Right.
And then when you talk about writers and directors, which I think are way more important than people in front of the camera, it's even smaller. It's like 1%, 2%.
Right.
So, there is a problem there.
Why is that, would you say?
I think at the end of the day, Hollywood is in love with the foreign element. So, case in point, we can arguably say the best directors of the last 20 years are Mexican. Cuarón, Iñárritu, and Guillermo del Toro. All their films, right? They're all Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is they come here and they stop doing Latino films. They don't hire Latino actors. There's no Latino stories. Mm-hmm. If it is, they go back to Mexico or Spain and they do something in Spanish with Mexican or Spanish actors.
Right.
So they're not real advocates for a push like a Robert Rodriguez is. Rodriguez is successful in his own bubble, and he's brought other writers and directors up, new generation. Mm-hmm. Time and time again, he's got a track record like no other. So I think that's a large part of it. Another part about this, and this really goes to the core on Doom, is that the day-to-day reality of the Hollywood exec, the casting director, is their interactions. Their interactions with Latinos are of a subservient position. Nannies, landscapers, caretakers, all of the manual labor jobs. Mm-hmm. When I told you that I overheard that executive. I was there doing a handyman job.
Right.
You know, that's just how it is. Everyone's very nice. They treat you nice, but that's their interaction. Because none of these people are from LA. That's another thing.
Right.
So there's a huge disconnect with what Latino people really are and what they see them as.
Right.
And so they see the the manual labor, maybe the undocumented worker. They're gonna go for something more flamboyant, spicy, foreign. Salma Hayek,
Right.
Javier Bardem.
He didn't like Javier.
Yeah, but do you get my line of thinking?
Yeah.
And what they are connected to is the black culture, because black culture, I feel, has moved and shaped popular culture in the States forever. So everyone's just connected to it: music, sports, movies.
Yeah, those guys have been getting a lot of representation compared to Latinos. So that's in that sense, he certainly has a point.
It's a point.
Yeah.
It's a point. Let me finish this up. There's a fix for this. Cast more Latinos. We're nearly 20% of the population. So for every 10 actors, 2 should be Latino. For every 10 executives, 2 should be Latino. For every 10 crew members, 2 should be Latino. For every 10 films, 2 should be Latinos. You may think Lin-Manuel Miranda, Bad Bunny, J-Lo, Benicio del Toro, and I are the only ones, but you are wrong. Well, at least he puts himself in there. Thank you, John. There are millions of Latinos. We are just among the few to be allowed through. Moving forward, we all need to be counted, represented, and valued.
Okay, but that's all well and good, but how would you do that? You're going to legislate that every movie has to, every 20% of every movie has to be Latino? I mean, it's just words.
Well, I'm sure he's come up with an idea of a system, and I think it's probably some sort of government mandated committee that Hollywood has to have, which would be hilarious, but embarrassing. Like, who wants that? You want to get in on that?
I mean, that seems to be a sign of the times, with having the government butt into everything now. But yeah, that we don't want government bureaucracies and boards to oversee entertainment. That's crazy. That's Soviet stuff.
Right. I'm totally with you on that. That's why I don't think that argument, you're not going to win with any type of mandated by population numbers, right? This is a business. This is show business. This is not a university or education where you might, I could see arguments there or whatever, We're talking about the movies, and we're talking about an industry that has no competition in the States, which is another problem. Right. I think the reason why India has such amazing work is because there's 6 different industries competing in the same state, in the same country.
Right.
You're gonna get great work.
Well, they also have 20% of the world's population in one country, so they have a huge user base.
And Energy 85, thank you for subscribing. I am going to check because I think we hit a milestone with our little channel. It's mighty. So, we're happy about that. Let me check. Sorry, Undoom. This is important for us. We have hit over 3,500. We're at 3,502. We've passed the 3,500 subscribers. We're at 3,502. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Okay, so now, let's break this down, Undoom, right? Because I think even though John brings up some good points, I don't like many of his arguments in this. He is looking at this through an old lens.
Yeah.
Okay. Now he used the example of music, right?
Yep.
Those guys know how to create and connect with their audiences because he's right. There is nothing in the way between them.
Yeah.
I would argue that you can be an independent filmmaker and do the same thing nowadays with very little money and high technology nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, there are actual movies filmed on iPhones.
More and more every day.
Yeah.
Romy just got the iPhone 14. The
Yeah.
pictures are just like insane. Insane.
I know. And like I said, there is actual releases that have been filmed entirely on an iPhone. I'm not saying I recommend it, but if you're in a pinch, you could do that.
Let me just say bye to one of our members, Das Wolfen. I need to run. I have a live stream in 10 minutes. Fantastic stream, Paulie. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks, brother.
Take care, man.
I do think that lack of competition makes it harder to get into the Hollywood system. Absolutely, John. Right? He's got a point.
But there in terms of representation, though, isn't there competition? I mean, you have all of Mexico right next to you.
Okay, well, then you're talking about different markets and how they're set up. You're talking about stuff in Spanish, right? Univision, Telemundo, Latin America, which he never talks about, right? Because he's not talking about, he's being very specific. Hollywood, US, Latinos, USA, America. Okay? And his examples of like, hey, I'll give you a hit, make Top Gun all Latin. Lame, dude. Lame.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
You want to crack the what do you call it, the berry, I don't know what. A huge hit for Black entertainment is when Glory came out. Everyone remembers Glory. It was the Black Civil War troop.
Right.
Morgan Freeman, Denzel.
Yeah.
Okay. Newsflash. We had a Tejano Mexican regiment that fought in the Civil War. Do that movie. We have a street in Chicago called Hero Street, USA. It's the most decorated block and a half of Purple Hearts given, and they're all Mexican American. War II, Korea War. Do a story on that. Hit all these big feel-good movies that everyone can connect with that happen to be Latino and true, and you'll kick some ass.
Yeah.
Remember what Edward James Olmos is doing independently. He's doing the Joaquin Murrieta story.
Right.
Listen, if you're gonna complain, John, go and do it yourself, brother. Go put in the work.
I mean, he certainly has the connections and maybe not the money to pay for it all, but certainly enough to get people to put up money.
Of course. And nowadays, all you need is a couple million. And you
I mean,
you get a couple million.
You don't need to. It's like Marvel has taken over our minds so much that if a movie doesn't have $300 million worth of special effects, it doesn't even count.
Right. So there's a rule, right, with indie film, right, that an audience is very forgiving, but you have to have a great story, good actors, and you got to hear everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's true. So many of them have bad audio.
Yeah, I mean, we're really forgiving of like, like low budget, low effects. Hey.
Right. Are we going to touch on that Bingo Hell?
Bingo Hell, great example.
Right.
Bingo Hell. Great. I mean, Gigi Guerrero, female Mexican woman being in horror, and she's blowing the lid off of what she's doing. And then did you get a chance to see it?
Oh yeah, I loved it, man.
Nice.
It actually harkens back to like really good 80s horror. Like it's it's not about grossing you out or jump scaring you. It's just really cool concepts. And it's, it's nothing complicated or anything. It's just nicely executed and a cool concept. It's nice and simple. You keep it nice and simple.
So Bingo Hell is an independent horror film that was distributed by Blumhouse. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Gigi Salguero, Mexican woman.
There
Lead
you go.
is Mexican actress, and she was hilarious.
That was an interesting choice. It's certainly a nice change from casting like a 16-year-old girl like they do in all movies now.
In all horror films, yeah. Well, first of all, it's an older cast.
Yeah.
It's an older cast, and that
makes it makes it kind of exotic today.
Oh, and all of these guys are like character actors. There's the great Richard Brake, who I just saw in Barbarian. And
yeah, he's great. I mean, that smile, Jesus Christ.
Jesus. And you got, Latinos, blacks, whites, all over, acting all over. This woman, she's been in tons of stuff.
Yeah.
L. Scott Caldwell. This guy was great.
Yeah.
So I think so. I had recently saw Gigi's other film, Satanic Hispanics. 5 different filmmakers, 5 different horror episodes under Satanic Hispanics. It rocked and rolled, man. And their whole thing is, it was done for peanuts, but it's winning awards at film festivals. They're all Latino as far as the filmmakers, and they're doing it on a high level, storytelling.
Yeah. I mean, they knew their budget and they made the most out of it.
Yeah, Bingo has a really good example too, because here you have this, if you want to check off the boxes, Mexican, a woman,
yeah, director,
and then a Mexican female lead. Very entertaining. I'm glad you saw it. Undoomed, called Bingo Hell. It's out on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it reminded me of one of those newer Nicolas Cage things. I don't know if you've seen that, when he goes to like that abandoned restaurant. He has to fight mascots.
Oh my God, really?
It's just such a simple concept. It was also like a low budget movie, but it was just a lot of fun. It reminded me of that because it's a nice, simple concept and you execute it well. That's all you need to do.
You're so right. And there was like it was a simple story, straightforward.
Yeah.
Entertaining, shot really well. It looked great.
Yeah.
And Gigi, and this is Gigi Guerrero. This is her. She's quite a looker as well. We can say that. She's a great editor.
Yeah.
So
I guess we should explain to the audience a little bit. It's just basically it's I guess we could say it's a trickster demon or something takes over the local bingo hall and makes everyone crazy for money, and they all get killed in interesting ways. Basic horror movie.
Basic horror film. And this trickster preys on the weak, and it is in this case it's a weak neighborhood that's been really kind of lowered down and run down with gentrification, which I love. Great setup.
Yeah, the hipsters with their lattes and shit.
Oh, the lady that she bumped into with the latte, that's Gigi.
It is?
She said, "Hey, that was me. Did you notice?" That was great. But you're so right, Undoomed. And when you're that simple, you got to be creative in other ways. And of course, there was some gore, some blood.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta have that in a horror movie,
Gotta have
obviously.
that.
But I am not into the modern type of horror movie that much, where it's just they're trying to gross you out, and it's just ew, like it's just, that kind of stuff. I'm not that into
Totally.
that.
Yeah.
So I like it when it's when it harkens back to the '80s horror movies, when everything when they had to really try to come up with interesting ways to shoot stuff and interesting ways to kill people, basically.
Well, and going back to Johnny Legs, Johnny, go
Yeah,
give Gigi, go raise her $5 to $10 million, and she'll give you 5 different films, and you can tell you what, you can be the star of one of them, and you guys will kick ass. But
sure.
here's your creator, you know. Um,
Yeah, and she's seems to be doing pretty good.
she's doing really well. This movie's called Bingo Hell. I see some people already putting it on their playlist in the chat. Excellent. It is entertaining. She has a new one called Satanic Hispanics, which we saw in the theater. Me and Romy went to go to a film festival that had it, and man, I was really impressed. And it had a lot of, like I said, 5 different stories of different kind of, and even different styles.
Mm-hmm.
And it had an indigenous one with the Nahuatls that Gigi did. It had um let me see, where is this at? Satanic Hispanics. Not as an actress. I had one from Argentina. It's a lot of fun. The Satanic Hispanics. This one is more in a. It's in film festivals. It didn't get the. Doesn't have distribution yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it's getting a lot of buzz.
Right. It's a great title.
Well, and it's got that you know with this film you were talking about. You don't like modern horror films. This film, these 5 stories feel so 90s and before.
Mm-hmm.
Really Rislantanic Hispanics. Funny.
Yeah, I mean that
Mhm.
sounds good.
So, and horror is always is a great way to crack into the business as well, because it's relatively inexpensive to do.
Oh yeah, always has been. I mean, even like Halloween when that was made, that was like really dirt cheap. I think it was a couple of $100,000. And that was back when they had to shoot everything on film. Now you don't have to do that.
So, there's avenues. There's avenues. There's avenues. I mean, even and I've talked about this. I'm working on distribution and fulfillment because I don't want to go through Amazon. But I have my novella ready, and just keep creating.
Mm-hmm.
But Johnny Legs, with all this that with all this time that you've spent writing this article, I mean, and trying to pitch to Hollywood, stop pitching, man. Go put up some money.
Yeah, it like I said, it seems like he would have the connections to actually just do whatever he wants to do. I'm starting to just think that he wants someone else to do.
Yeah, and
Like
like I said,
he doesn't
yeah,
have any ideas.
no, no.
And he doesn't actually have any solutions for the problems that he's presenting either. He's just complaining, and I guess that's fine. People need to vent, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not presenting any solution.
I got another solution for you, Johnny Legs. A member of our channel, Aiken, brings up, been a member for 11 months. Wow. V Castro's awesome. She tells a great flowing story in Aliens Vasquez. So great so far. And who are we talking about? We're talking about a Mexican American author, and she got to write the latest Aliens novel. Oh, we got
Okay.
we got some sexy bots in the chat. Let me get rid of those. You got to get rid of those. I still don't know how to do that. Okay. Yeah, okay, got it done. All right. We had her on the show last week, and her book just came out in the UK, and then it comes out November 8th here in the States. I am going to put my review up. Fantastic. Again, she took the story. She took the Vasquez character, right? From
Love
Aliens.
that character.
Love that character. So badass.
Yeah.
She created her whole backstory and future story with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, go get some money and go produce that movie. Now.
Johnny's probably at home right now complaining about Vasquez, though, because she wasn't played by an actual Latino.
That's old news, man.
Yeah, that's old news. That's old news.
That's Hollywood. That's the legacy of ignorance and racism of Hollywood. Yes. But here's how you crack it. Here's how you crack it. Go do your own shit and support these film festivals. Edward James Olmos's film festival. You know, screw the Hollywood studio initiatives. Go do it on your own. There is no initiative. You know what the initiative is in Hollywood? Money.
Yeah. And also, it comes back to the old saying for writers. You know how you get good at writing?
Mm-hmm.
By writing.
By writing.
So, you know, someone's going to bring out that Latino movie that's just going to bring down $2 billion.
Yeah.
You just have to create. Keep at it.
Look at this. In our discussion here, we gave you three if you count Jorge Gutierrez and his work, but two viable entertainment IPs now that are happening that have the Latino background stories. Gigi and her horror movies, Bingo Hell You saw. Aliens Vasquez, this book's coming out. Why aren't you talking about those in your story, Johnny?
Yeah.
You didn't even talk about books. You didn't talk about horror. You didn't talk the female Latinas, indigenous, I don't know what they're not white. They meet your hierarchy. Fund them.
The hierarchies are so irritating.
Mummies, Chupacabra, La Llorona, Day of the Dead stories, blood, heart sacrifices, so much to play with.
There you go.
All right. This has been a fantastic talk. Undoomed.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe now to Undoomed. His links is in the video box description, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
What do you got going on besides watching the reels go around?
What do you mean?
On your channel.
On my channel. I got one video that I'm going to upload, which is basically it's a short story, not written by me, but I'm in it.
Oh, right.
So that's coming up. I'm not sure when, but that's coming up. And then after that, we're doing that interview with the Stargate producer.
Yes, we are. Okay. Well, what's up for me? I'll be on Mr. H Reviews tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And then we got videos happening all the time, and just look out for that stuff. And then look out for our interview on Doom's channel coming up in the next few weeks. And check out our interview with Edward James Olmos.
For sure. That's a great interview.
Let me see. What am I going to leave you guys with? You know, I have to. I got to update the closing credits. I don't want to play the closing credits because they're like old. Is there a song I can play? Yeah, I'll leave you guys with the song, okay? And we'll call it a stream. Thank you, Undoomed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for having me.
Here's Del Castillo with Malagueña Salarosa. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
ojos tiene, debajo de esas dos cejas, debajo de esas dos cejas, qué bonitos ojos tiene. Ellos me quieren mirar, pero si tú no los dejas, pero si tú no los dejas, ni siquiera parpadear. Malagueña, salerosa, besa tus labios quisiera, besa tus labios quisiera, malagueña salerosa.